Oh, cool.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Ronan Guilfoyle. I'm the director of the Centre for Jazz Performance Studies at Dublin City University. And I'll just, we just wait for it. We're just right on time now, but we might just wait for just a couple more minutes because I think a few more people will join us. And yeah, we're getting all those lovely notification noises, which are lots of fun always. And so we just wait for another couple of minutes, and we get started. But I might wait to introduce you before. You'll just wait for a couple of minutes, and I'm going to introduce you. But if anyone has any questions right now, they're welcome to ask them. We are live streaming this on YouTube. Just so everybody's aware of that, we're just doing it because some people are accessing it like that, and we will not be putting it up afterwards. So just in case anybody's concerned about that, but just to let you know too that we are doing that during the live situation. So if anybody, I guess you keep your cameras off if you want, or on, whichever you prefer. And yeah, so this afternoon we're going to spend some time just giving you an idea of what we do in the program, how it works, the typical subject matter, and the various different opportunities that there are for people studying. I'm going to share some videos with you. I'm also going to introduce you to Jason Camilio from Berklee College of Music, because we have a very strong association with this very famous, of course, college in Boston. And I'll introduce you to Jason, and he'll talk a bit about how the connection between DCU and Berklee works, and the opportunities that are there for people who are interested in studying at Berklee and getting involved in the kind of Berklee international community, which is a really big one at this point. So maybe I'll start with just an overview of the program, and I'll do this in a very boring way at the beginning, but it does go through the major points, which is via a kind of a PowerPoint thing. So this is basically what we're talking. We have the Center for Jazz Performance Studies, and the program that is the centerpiece of that is the BA in Jazz and Contemporary Music Performance. And this is its basic outline. It's 4-year honors degree, a level 8 for those of you who are working under or understand the Bologna system, the European system. A level 8 is a high level honor, an honors high level bachelor degree. A level 9 is a master's, a level 10 is a PhD. So it's a level 8, so it's the high. Maybe whoever could mute mute the sound in the background there. It's designed for performing musicians. It's called the BA in Jazz and Contemporary Music Performance. So it is not an academic music program or production program, although there are elements of technology involved. It is for performers. It's for really preparing yourself for life as a performer. So prepare yourself for life as a professional musician and study with Ireland's premier jazz musicians and educators. So this is the basic outline of the program. So what does that mean, preparation for a career? Well, it means a lot of things. And of course, it's getting broader every year. And I think, Berklee, for example, are really at the cutting edge of this. And it's always useful for me, even experienced as I am, to stay in touch with them to find out what the latest thing going on is, because it's like anything. Anything these days, it evolves at such incredible speed. But the basic stuff that this prepares you for is life as a professional performing musician. So that's an obvious thing. You're a performer, you play various kinds of music. The great thing about it is taught through the medium of jazz. And the great thing about jazz is that it encapsulates so many different kinds of music these days. And also the skills involved in it create or require you to be to be varied and comfortable in many genres. So it prepares you. It prepares you as a professional performing musician in many different areas, and makes you very. So you'll have very good technical skill. You'll be able to improvise. You'll be able to read music. You'll understand chord symbols, etc. So all of that, all of those things will really stand to you as a performer. One of the things that we say about the program is that when you leave the program, if somebody asks you, can you do X or Y, you should never have to say no. That's kind of the way we think about it. So, we say, well, can you, could you play in a pit band in an orchestra, like in a theater? And you'd say, yeah. Can you read music? Yes. Can you improvise? Yes. Could you play a solo in that style on this recording? Yes. So we say we're the course that always likes to say yes. So professional performing musician, an arranger. If you don't know what that is, arrangers are people who take either music by themselves, but usually music of other people, and arrange it for specific groups of musicians. So it could be an orchestra, it could be a small group. The point is, you could have somebody who has a song, let's say maybe a songwriter or something like that, and the songwriter would like to have the music played by a large group with a brass section, a piano player, bass, drums, guitar, but doesn't have the skills necessary to translate their song into that kind of milieu. In that case, that's what where the arranger comes in. The arranger comes in, takes the melody and chords, and usually writes out the arrangement for the piece so that the whole thing sounds like that. And generally, that is a much more prevalent, let's say, activity than most people realize, even musicians, because what they often don't realize is when you see large-scale pop bands, and by that I mean bands with their, these days you see bands that have 10 people on stage, you might say Beyonce or whoever, they've got maybe 10 people on stage, brass section and all of that, there's an arranger involved in that. So an arranger would be the person who would arrange that music for those particular performances. So you study arranging, we do composition, it's mandatory all 4 years, you study composition. Music producer, somebody who can be in a studio and make very good suggestions to musicians. So really, because of the wide range of skills that you would make a very good producer. Producer is another facet of being a professional musician. So going in and producing an album, you see that name, he was the producer, she was the producer, whatever that is, but that's what they're talking about. It's somebody who's in the studio, they're not actually performing the music, they're listening to it and they're saying, well, maybe you should do it a bit faster, or you need to bring the more guitar or whatever. They kind of have an overview of what's going on, a bit like the director of a play in a way, but in a studio. Music educator, this program qualifies you to teach in the Irish, or to go on and do a master's in pedagogy, to teach in the Irish secondary school system, if that's something that you're interested in. And session musician. Session musician is someone who goes in and does a job. So, can you play in this style? Can you, we need you to play this, and you need to have the skills to play it very quickly, very accurately, and in whatever style is required. So it's a really high craft thing, but that's what a session musician is, and you certainly would be able to be a session musician when you complete this program. So following areas: ensemble performance, you play in 2 bands every week. You've got two ensembles that you will play with different repertoire. Some of the ensembles, you get the repertoire from the teachers, they're in particular styles or by particular people. And the other ones, you bring in the material yourself and work on that material with your fellow students. Instrumental technique, so this is obviously, getting your guitar lesson, bass lesson, drum lesson, whatever that is. So you have one-on-one lesson once a week, and you also have what's called a lab class or a group class every week on your instrument. So if you're a drummer, you'd have one class one-to-one with the teacher and one class with the other drummers in your year. And you do have that once a week in each of those classes for all 4 years. Study improvisation, obviously. This happens within both instrumental classes and in lab classes and in ensemble performance. Rhythm studies is a class that is kind of unique to our school in the way we do it. It's a 4-year program. You have to do it. You have to study rhythm at a high level. And it's basically singing and clapping hard stuff. That's become the hard stuff. I'm going to show you a little video later on of students in action in the program, and you'll see them do a little bit of this. So rhythm studies is one to improve your rhythmic technique. And it's usually involved in singing and clapping. That's usually what's involved. Composition, as we said earlier, you're going to study composition for 4 years. Computer music. Now, what we mean by that is introduction to technology as a useful tool for the typical working musician. We're not going really deep into like electronic production or that, but we are doing things like showing how to use sequencer programs, notation programs, audio recording, live audio recording, audio editing, MIDI editing, all of that sort of the stuff that these days is the basic requirements for a working musician. It used to be that only specialists knew about this stuff, but these days everybody needs to know about it. So we do that. Introduction to technology, you do 3 semesters of that. Aural training, ear training, what is that? Well, it's identification of sound by ear. And, it's something that all musicians should be able to do. And in a way, I've described it as being like, if you're a chef, do you know what something tastes like just by tasting it? A chef can do that. They don't need to see an orange to taste that something has orange in it, if you know what I mean. And in aural training, if there's a Lydian chord played, you should be able to hear that that's a Lydian chord, and et cetera, et cetera. So aural training is very important, the identification of sound. Arranging, we've talked about. Pedagogical studies, we've talked about. Jazz history, ethos, and philosophy. There are certain classes that we have that are what we call contextual classes. In other words, they're not specifically about playing the instrument, but they're about the context in which music is played. So obviously history plays part of that. Jazz history, classical history. And we also do a thing called Music of the African Diaspora, where we look at music that evolved in the Caribbean, particularly Brazilian music and Cuban music, music of Colombia, Venezuela, that area, and also New Orleans. So music that evolved from the forced emigration of people of West Africa and into the Caribbean, the Caribbean region, and the musics that arose out of that, and also the social context in which those took place. We also have other classes where we look at, performance. What is it? We really look at performance very deeply as to what it is and what are you trying to do and what are the obstacles to making you a complete performer, etc., etc. So these are kind of the basic stuff. This is for the Irish people watching. It's our European Union, for that matter. Application is via the Central Applications Office, the CAO, as it's known in Ireland. And general entry requirements for entry into the university are required. You can see what they are when you go into general entry requirements online on DCU. But this is about having a high school diploma for those of you who are outside Ireland, a leaving cert for those of you who are inside Ireland. Also, for people who have English not as a first language, general entry requirements will be about language level, etc., etc. Performance audition is required, so you come and play for us, and we'll talk to you. And what we suggest with that is that you play what you think best represents you. Don't try and do something that you think we'll be impressed by, but you're not comfortable with. That's not a very good idea in an audition. What we say is, look, just play what you think you do best, and that's the way you'll do your best audition, really. So this year, performance auditions take place on Saturday, March 20th. So we will be updating this. This was done before Christmas, so things change. As we know these days, unfortunately, things change very quickly, but that's at the plan at the moment. We've a lot of international students, 50% international students from 27 different countries. So we attract a lot of people from outside Ireland as well as Irish people. Now, transfer credits into Berkeley. What I might do at this point is I might introduce you to Jason, and he's going to and have him explain how this works. I might just take it off share because I think you know the stuff off by heart, Jason. So Jason is the Assistant Vice President for Global Initiatives at Berkeley, and trombone player, guitar player, all around great guy. And we've been working together for years, and it's I have to say, in a previous incarnation, we were in another school. We've been working with Berkeley, I think, since 1995. So it goes back a long way. Yeah. And we've had such great experiences, both having Berkeley faculty come and teach in our school, having students go from our school into Berkeley and having some of our faculty teaching in Berkeley. And we've just had a great relationship with them for forever, it feels like at this point. And so I'm going to introduce, this is Jason, and a very important person in the international initiatives area for Berkeley, which is huge now at this point. And I'm sure he can tell you something about it. And also explain to you how the various relationships work between us and Berkeley. Jason.
Cool. Thanks, Ronan. I really appreciate the opportunity to connect with everybody here. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you're all staying healthy and sane. As you can see, I'm doing okay. I've got enough to keep me busy, which is really cool. And it's it's great that you're all looking at this opportunity. As Ronan said, we've been working together for a quarter of a century, literally. And there's a really good reason for this. Of all the places that Berkeley could be engaged in the world, in contemporary music, there are only 25 locations that have the special relationship that the DCU bachelors in jazz, bachelors and honors in jazz and contemporary music have. And that's, they teach contemporary music at a world-class level. And for you to be interested in their program is a great step for you. If you're seriously looking at this, they have amazing faculty, or I don't know, you call them professors, maybe instructors. Go and check them out. Go and look at who they are, go to their websites, listen to their music, find them on social media, learn about them, because they're gonna be your guides, your musical gurus, and the people that are gonna actually help you figure out the way forward with your musical life and your career. And because they've done it and they are doing it now. So I strongly encourage you, you're in lockdown, probably you got some spare time, and instead of like jumping into, some binge watching of Netflix, maybe go and check out these folks, because you'll be really impressed and hopefully inspired to want to go and do some work with them. Okay. So we have the special agreement. The program at DCU is part of our Berkeley Global Academic Partnership. This means a lot of things. They are a place that is there's a brand relationship. They elevate our brand in the world, and we help to elevate theirs, to let people know about the opportunities and careers in the industry, in music, as performers, as in business, everything from music therapy to technology, all the different things that you'd want to do. It's really interesting that the program over time has just become really diverse. It's got a very global presence with students from all over the world studying at DCU. So that's really attractive as you're looking at what you might do in your career. Your opportunities may be in other parts of the world, and connecting in with artists that are teaching there that have the global experience, as well as the students from all over the world, is really cool. So we do events with DCU. We do programs like Berkeley on the Road programs, usually in the summer. These are short camps that are between 3 and 5 days long, where DCU professors and Berkeley professors get together and kind of give you a taste of what it's like to be in the classroom in our programs. And it's a really great opportunity to kind of break the ice and get an understanding of what's ahead of you in your career development, your artistic development. We also do remote sessions like this, but they're more content driven, where we're actually going to work on a specific topic that's of mutual interest to us, as well as to hopefully to you, around performance, writing, technology, business, all of those things that give you a light into what our programs offer. Additionally, we do auditions and interviews when we are able to travel. Normally we're on the road most of the year, and we're getting a chance to be at DCU a couple of times a year. And when we're there, we do auditions and interviews for Berkeley so that you could apply to, as part of the application process to Berkeley. And the big thing is the credit transfer agreement. The quality of the program at DCU is such that when you complete their program, it's just like taking the classes at Berkeley in the music area, in contemporary music. So things like harmony or theory, ear training, arranging, instrumental study, ensembles, and a few other courses that we're adding to the agreement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop in a couple of links into the chat here, and I'm hoping that you'll grab them and take a look. With DCU, this is where you can kind of see the credit transfer information. You just bookmark that. You can go and look at the agreement. And it kind of outlines, hey, if I study in the program at DCU and I complete X amount of time, or I complete the whole program, and I decide that I want to go to Berklee in Boston or Berklee online, and I wanted to finish my degree, what would that mean for me? You know, and what happens is you actually end up advanced placing yourself. You'll save yourself a lot of money and a lot of time with your program. And that degree, this website will outline, you know, what's involved in that, and what the courses are that you'll take, and what transfers to Berklee. The other thing is you can actually do something called the pathway. You could apply to Berklee and get accepted, and then decide, you know, hey, listen, I'm not quite ready to go to Berklee right now. And there's a few reasons why. It could be that it's, you know, there could be a financial constraint. It could be that it's just easier to kind of like stay closer to home. It could be that you're really interested, if you're not in Ireland, that you want to be in Dublin and studying because you're really interested in the music scene there. And then you could actually hold your acceptance in Berklee and then say, hey, you know, DCU, I'd like to come and enroll in the program there and do the credit transfer track, the Berklee track. And then when you complete the track, you then come on over to Boston and complete your program. So there's a couple of ways to do this, you know, to take advantage of the credit transfer. It saves you money. It gives you great preparation. If you end up completing the entire undergraduate program at DCU, I'd strongly recommend that you take a look at the graduate programs that Berklee offers at our campus in Valencia, Spain. And also our program that we're launching this September at our new campus in New York City. So you have lots of, and even actually there's another one, you can actually do the online master's program for those of you that have like kind of set your roots and you're kind of working on your music, but you don't want to leave where you are, but you still want to continue your studies. You've got a few options. You can go to Valencia, you go to New York, you could even go to Berklee online to complete your degree. There's another page I'm going to share with you here, which gives you lots of really cool resources. And please bookmark this page. This is going to give you a guide to the partnerships, the credit transfer agreement. Plus, there's a lot of cool resources that we create mutually with our Berklee professors, with DCU, and all of other global partners all over the world. We have partners across Europe, Asia, the Americas. And so we have webinars that are happening all the time. We have materials, practice materials that we're putting online, all kinds of resources that we're putting in here to just, you know, give you other places to kind of dig in and get access to content. So that's it there. I'm going to also share my email address. So if you do have questions, you can always feel free to contact me. And at DCU, obviously, you can connect in with Mr. Cormac O'Brien. He's kind of like the guru of agreements there and the programs. And he can kind of walk you through things. But, you know, I'll give you just from my personal experience, I applied to Berklee a minute ago, and I didn't go right out of high school. I actually did a program like this at the time. I went to what we have in the United States, which is called a community college. And I went and did a couple of years and completed what we have as an associate's degree before kind of moving on. And for me, it was like the right move. You know, I just needed time to kind of get my musical self together, to get my head together about what I want to do with my career. And going to an institution like DCU that offers a robust program that gives you access to lots of information about contemporary music is a great start. So I'll be here through the whole session, and I know later on there'll be Q&A and run, and I'm happy to answer any questions as we go along.
Thanks very much, Jason. Just to say, you know, regarding people who've gone through the program in its various incarnations and worked in this Berklee, I mean, the sheer variety of stuff that they've done is amazing, actually. You know, at this point, I think off the top of my head, we have 2 students, or ex-students, I should say, alumni, as it would be called. We have two alumni who did their masters with Berkeley and Valencia and are now working on the scene here in Dublin as as professional musicians. They did the program. They did their undergraduate program with us, and then went and did their graduate program, their masters with Berkeley, of a beautiful campus in Valencia. And we also have some undergraduates. We have who did the Berkeley track, who basically came to us for 2 years and went to Berkeley for 2 years, there or thereabouts. And one of them is now a producer in LA, producing and writing music for TV, and producing songs and producing other people's music. And another one is actually the assistant head of the Jazz Conservatory in Kathmandu in Nepal, which is pretty impressive. She was a great singer, great student, and she's gone on to do great things. I mean, it's amazing what she's doing there. And when I think about that, I remember meeting Maria when she came to audition for us, and I remember meeting Elliot, who's the producer now, and I still remember those first meetings. And it was very, very humble circumstances, and now they're both doing great things in the international music world. So it's an extraordinary opportunity these days. The internationalization of travel in normal circumstances, when we're not in this lockdown. In the normal circumstances, music is totally international these days, and you have to, I think, to really be at the kind of level you need to be to work, travel, perform, and all of that, you need to be getting some kind of international information, is what I call it. In other words, information that is the international standard, not the national standard. The international standard is what's important these days. So, because you are going to, if you're a very good musician, you probably will need to travel, and you probably want to travel, and you need the equipment to allow yourself to travel, if you know what I mean. So this kind of connection between, we talk about curriculum a lot with Berkeley, and they with us, so we keep abreast of what they're doing, and we let them know what we're doing. So we make sure that the pedagogical information is completely current with what's happening internationally. So this is a really important point. I'll just go back to my little the last page on this PowerPoint again, just for the last thing. So why would you choose DCU as opposed to somewhere else? Well, it's a complete, in Ireland, we are the only non-classical performance degree. Most music programs do have some elements of performance, but we're the only one outside classical music that is an actual. So what does that mean? It means that 80% of the time you have your instrument in your hand, or if you're a singer, you're singing, So it's really a focus on performance. So if you're a person who really wants to be a performer, then this is a program for you. There's many performance opportunities. They play again under normal circumstances. The students play in Dublin. They usually have a Monday night somewhere where they all get together and jam and play sessions and put their bands on. And also, we also have extracurricular ensembles that we do that are not specifically part of the program, but that we add to them. So Afro-Cuban music, Brazilian music, funk. We have a funk band. We have a jazz choir. So we have lots of extra opportunities to perform. Preparation for master's degrees in performance, composition, film scoring, music teaching. You could go on and do masters in any of those disciplines if you have the degree, the BA degree from us. You're going to get a high-level instrument and vocal training. This is the international standard that I talked about. And the next line is exactly it: acquire the skills to be an international standard performing musician. So these are kind of the basic outlines of the program. And what I thought might be kind of fun to do is just watch a short film that starts at 8 o'clock in the morning in DCU and goes to 8 o'clock at night. And we kind of went in, took the camera in one morning and at 8, and we just filmed all day different stuff that people were doing. So it kind of gives you an idea of the range of activities that people do. Just find this. Here we go. So Can you all see that? It's okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to make it big. I'm going to play it.
Practicing for a transcription.
I'm Anna, I'm Italian, I'm in third year and I'm in at 9 to do some ear training practice. And yeah, I'm here basically all day because that's what we do. So I don't know what to say.
Let's try that again.
Take two.
And 1, 2, 3, 4.
And we play some music.
Hi, my name is Arjun and I'm from India, and I just got done with my music production class here at DCU, and now I have guitar labs in a couple of minutes.
Right. So then I can switch between those two. Alright. Okay.
I'm Matthew Carney, I play the bass, and I'm about to go in for a transcription and rhythm class, which is difficult, but it's fun. I find it challenging.
I'm Tristan, I'm French, I play drums, and I'm going to go practice, rehearse a version of the Beatles.
So if we wanted to extend that into make it into a 3-6-2-5-1, what happened after we played the first 2-5? Instead of resolving to a major 7, what would we go to? We go to another minor 7, and then what would happen?
7, like that.
And then 7. So we'd just be playing another 2-5-1 then, wouldn't we? So we're just kind of stacking them on top of each other. So
So, where are you all from?
Israel. Peru. Canada. Dublin, Ireland.
Italy.
Hello, my name is Naofumi Miyagi. I'm from Japan. Late evening. I'm just finished my composition class and then I'm going to practice. Thank you very much.
Okay, so that's just a kind of a glimpse of the kind of stuff that goes on. As Anna said, that's what we do. We're here all day. So it's a great community of musicians. I think a very important thing to understand about any school is that they are two things, or they should be two things. They are a repository of information. In other words, the teachers have information that you need, and it's their job to give it to you, and it's your job to get it from them. And then the other thing that it is the community of musicians that is made up of not just the students, but also the teachers. And the teachers in DCU, you know, they're all professional performing musicians. So they're never going to ask you or tell you to do something that they got out of a book. They're basically asking you to do things because they know that that's what you need to do, or they did it themselves on the gig the night before. And so they're giving you their experience, and they're in your community. Once you become a student in the program, you are part of that community. It's not just a student community, it's the overall community of musicians, and ultimately the overall community of musicians in the world. I have some other things I could show you, but I think probably at this point we could open it up to any questions that maybe that anybody has about the program, about any aspect of it. So ask Jason, the Berkeley thing, of course. Myself, I also introduced you here to Cormac. I think I should have introduced you at the beginning. It's Cormac up here. And Cormac is the deputy chair of the program and also one of my colleagues in the administration, as is Matthew here. The plays drums. Cormac is a bass player. Like I'm a bass player, by the way. Cormac is a bass player. Matthew is a drummer. We're rhythm section guys. We believe in keeping control of the band, as always. So, and Laura here is the secretary for the program, and really knows everything there is to know about how the mechanics of being a DCU work. So she's a great person. She's an important person to know in terms of the administration of the program and how everything works. So we have the 5 of us here. Any question? Anybody like to ask any questions?
I've got a question.
Okay.
In the chat, for those of you that are musicians looking to enroll in the DCU program, could you just type in the chat like what instrument you play and what area of focus or sort of career goal you have? Like I'm a trombone player and I'd love to make my living playing in big bands, but it's 2020 and 2021 and that's going to be difficult. But that's what I would type. But maybe you could put your instrument and like what your goal is. Yeah. Just so we can get sort of a
kind of a feel for the usually we do this with in person. We do this with a hands up. You know, what do you play? What do you play? What do you play? So what do you all play? Like we can start with that. Nobody plays anything. Oh, here we go. Jason. Oh, that's Jason. So okay, I'm going to put in bass. What the hell?
Hey, buddy. You okay? I know it's annoying. Sorry, my puppy just got out of surgery, so he's got one of those wacky collars on right now. He's hanging out.
Okay, here we go. They're all coming in now.
Nice.
Cool.
Nice.
Small bit of piano. That sounds like me. A very small bit. A very small bit of piano. That's what the great Irish jazz guitar player Louis Stewart was once asked. Does he play piano? And he said, only in self-defense. And I think that's how I feel about playing the piano as well. I'll only do it in self-defense when I really have to do it. So has anyone any questions or comments or would like to know any more about any aspect of what we've discussed? Don't be shy. Okay, what I'll do is I'll show you a couple of other small, I won't show you all, there's little clips and videos of various other things. And if in the meantime you think of any questions, then you can have them ready to go. I'll just give you a little bit of maybe.
That's a great question.
What's that?
Tara just asked a really important.
What is the cost? There you go. That's a very good question. So it depends is the answer to that. There's two different prices. There's price for European Union students, which of course includes Irish students, but I'm not sure about UK students at this point. There seems to be honest, I did have an inquiry, if there is anybody here from the UK, I did have an inquiry about this recently, and it was difficult to get an answer from DCU itself because it's just so up in the air with the Brexit thing as to whether, and you know, as you know, as you may know, the relationship between Ireland and England is very different than, say, we have such a close relationship for many centuries, actually, for better or for worse. And so there's often exceptions made so between Ireland and England. So this not quite sure about that. But let's say European Union or Irish. What's the is it 300 or the 3.3? I can't hear you. You seem to be muted or your microphone. No, don't have you. I think I know it's 3,000. I think it's 3,300. It's not much more than that anyway. So it's 3,300 a year for and for a student from the European Union who's had their high school education in the European Union. Isn't that it, Laura?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, I think it's 3,270. The 3,000 if you are eligible for a SUSI grant, that will be covered by the SUSI grant, and then the 300 odd, because it changes every year, will be has to be paid by the student themselves, even if you're covered for a grant. If you're not eligible for a grant, or if you've already used up your grant before, then you'll have to pay that yourself. And then there are EU fees, which I'll drop a link to the fee booklet as well into the chat, which are different for every course. So if you've already done a level 8 degree, then you would have to pay the EU fee. So it'd be the same for all EU students. And then non-EU is a different fee structure again.
There's also, so non-EU is a different structure as well. So it varies. But if you're an Irish student and you're coming out of, say, high school, it's 3,200 and something like that for a year, not for a semester, for a year. We've got some good questions coming up here in the chat now. So maybe we'll go to those. Do you do any jazz percussion like vibraphone? Do we still have that vibraphone, Cormac? We haven't had a request for it.
We still have it. It's there. So
I guess we can do it. Yes, we have other percussion, but not. We have congas, for example. So we have hand percussion. That's like that, and we do it for vibraphone. So we have had vibraphone players in the past. We haven't. It's been a while now since we've been asked for it, but we can do it if necessary. Do you need to have a lot of knowledge or a big interest in jazz before going into the course? No, is the short answer to that. We don't expect people. It's of course it's great if you do have that knowledge. It's useful. It's very useful. It can give you a head start. But on the other hand, most of the people who come into the program don't have that kind of knowledge. And so basically, it's our job to teach you that. What we're looking for when we audition somebody is potential and musicality. Of course, you can't be a beginner. You need to be able to play your instrument reasonably well. But we are looking for musicality and potential. We don't say, oh, that person doesn't know about jazz, so they can't come in. So we have people from many different backgrounds, classical backgrounds, come into the program. I mean, classical backgrounds, rock backgrounds, some jazz backgrounds, traditional Irish backgrounds, traditional folk music. We've had people from that background come in. So it's really not a factor as to whether you can get into the program or not. Could I talk a bit about the route to becoming a session musician? Yeah, I mean, that really is dependent upon, the thing about being a session musician, it's like being a master craftsman or craftsperson or whatever it is. So basically, you're asked to come in and do a job. That's what a session musician does. They come in and they do a job that is required of them, and they do it quickly, they do it efficiently, and they do it to the requirements of the client. That's basically what it is. So what do I mean by that? Supposing, I think that's your comment. So supposing somebody requires a solo in a country guitar style on a singer's record, let's say. So let's say the singer has a country style piece and they want a guitar solo, 8 bars of a guitar solo. So a session musician, if they don't have a player in the band who can do that, they'll hire a session musician. Now, it isn't that you go into a place that's a session musician over the top. You develop your reputation over years. And what the fastest way to get to go up in the music business is by reputation. Absolutely. And the fastest way to go down as well, if you don't take care of business. So in other words, if you're the guy asked to go in to play that solo and they hand you the chord sheet and you say, well, what are all these funny symbols on this? You're probably not going to get called back. But if you're the person you go in, you say, absolutely, what tempo? Give me the tempo. Okay, hit the red button. You nail the guitar solo. You say, is that okay? And they say, maybe do another take. So, okay, here's another take. And that's it. You've done your 8. They have their 8-bar guitar solo. You have your money and you leave. So a session musician is somebody who can come in and play in many different styles and play to order, so to speak, so that they're asked to do something and they can do it on the spot. Daniel, yeah, so it's Daniel. Does that answer your question, Daniel? Or you can ask another if I haven't made it clear enough.
He's on YouTube, so he's a few seconds behind. Okay. He's in the past.
Okay, I like myself. Yeah, so that's fine. Okay, thanks, Daniel. So I'll go down to the next one. Where on the DCU campus is the location? It's on the St. Patrick's campus. They're very nice. You saw a little bit of the courtyard there, and it's on the St. Patrick's campus. The nice thing. DCU is a big university. It has 18,000 students. But we're on one campus and we're in one block of rooms that are dedicated to us because they're soundproofed and they've all our equipment in it. So the nice thing about that is that you have a sense of community. You're in one place all the time with your meeting your fellow musicians all the time as you go about your business. So it's a nice sense of community, and it's in the St. Patrick's campus. Will the auditions be taking over Zoom? We don't know is the short answer. We have a way of doing online auditions, and we did them last year. And we, at the moment, we're hoping for in person, but we're guessing we'll probably either have to do a mixture of in person and online, or all online. But we will. As we know, every day is a different thing, so it's evolving all the time. So we could be doing it. We probably won't do it over Zoom. The way we do it because of the issues with the Wi-Fi's, we usually ask you to record and video and upload videos of yourself playing in various styles or doing various things, and then we interview live on Zoom. So that's usually the way we do it, rather than live. Live with Zoom is just so, it's just too difficult. You're going to do your audition and then suddenly your Wi-Fi is not working or something. So that's the way we would do that. Is it possible to focus on more than one instrument while studying? Main focus would be piano, but some tuition on guitar would be nice. We don't recommend it that you take two instruments because we feel it's not that you can't play two instruments on the program. Some people do, but we don't give instruction on two. On you do. By the way, everybody does. I didn't mention it. In first year, everyone does keyboard skills, so everyone has to do piano. Whether even the piano players, we have a special program for the piano players who are already pianists, obviously. But everyone has to do piano. So if you're a drummer, singer, saxophone player, you have to do piano as second study because it is the gateway to arranging and to understanding how harmony works and all of that stuff. So you will be doing piano in first year, regardless of what instrument you play. But some people play, some people play guitar, some people play bass as a second instrument. Bass is often a very good one because you often end up playing in ensembles because there's always shortage of bass players, like always, pretty much. So if you're someone who plays bass as a secondary instrument, you almost certainly will be able to play in an ensemble somewhere on bass. And but you won't be getting lessons as part of the program. You can get extra lessons, of course, from teachers, but it's kind of thing you would do yourself. But you probably will have a chance to play your other, assuming you play it kind of decently. You certainly have another opportunity to play it, in a certain thing. So I'm just going to close the door here.
I think Leon has been waiting a while there to ask a question as well. I saw you had your hand up there for a while, Leon.
Oh yeah, thanks. So my question is, sorry, I'll just get it up here. Is it more difficult to get into the course if you're auditioning on a more commonly played instrument, like guitar, for example? So like, do you take in a certain amount of players per instrument?
That's a very good question. We do, depending on the instrument, of course, and certainly it's a very smart question, actually, because of course there are more guitar players almost than anything else.
Yeah. So
we would tend to have more guitar players auditioning. So therefore, just by dint of numbers, you are going to have raised the level that way a bit. Having said that, we won't take in anybody, because of the instrument they play if they don't play well enough to come into the program either. So a generally good, a good level, I think, is important. And to be honest, I wouldn't worry too much about that. I think it's very important for a musician to really think about, not to be thinking about what the other people are going to do, but thinking about what's the best way you can put your own best foot forward. Worrying about what other people do is kind of a distraction, I think, to where you need to be, if you know what I mean. There are more guitar players that audition than there would be, say, bass players. That's true. Or trombone players, for that matter. And there is a bit more competition for guitar, that's for sure. But I wouldn't worry about that. I'm sorry, I didn't see the name of who asked that question.
It was Leon. Thanks.
Oh yeah, sorry. So so does that answer your question? I mean, I wouldn't worry too much about how many people are going to go for it. You need to get yourself ready. If you're ready, if you want to go for it, get yourself ready and do the best thing that you can do for yourself, and don't worry about other people. That's my best advice to you. Don't.
Yeah, okay, that's grand. Thanks.
Yeah. I'll just go down a little bit. See if there's anything else there. Oh yeah, that is highly competitive to get accepted. Is that the same question, or is that somebody else?
Somebody else.
Yeah. It's a similar question, Donna. Sorry, it's a similar answer to that question. It is competitive, of course it is. But really, the best way for you to do everything that you need to do is to kind of just take care of your business and come in and don't worry about anybody else. Just come in and be with us while you're with us. You know what I mean? And we'll be when you come in and play with us, we're certainly not thinking about anybody else. When you're in the room with us, we're just dealing with you. And if you have the same kind of thing with us, I think that's the best thing, yeah, for sure. I'm just going to keep going now. How many people per year do in your role? It varies, but somewhere between 25 and 30. It's not a huge program. We like that about it. It's about 100 people in total over 4 years. But so about 25 to 30 people, and we spread those. So we make sure we have a drummer, we have a bass player, we have a guitar player, a piano player, and of course horn players. You can take in a lot of horn players, except there isn't a lot of horn players, unfortunately. Otherwise, you could take in loads of them. But taking a lot of horn players, it's kind of tough to have more than one drummer in the same ensemble. But they can be fun too. But we tend to try and keep it kind of in a typical ensemble format. So, Eamon, sorry, missed a question about how many students get accepted. Yeah, so how many drummers? Well, 4 or 5, depending on how many ensembles we take. So let's say we got 5 really good bass players, we'd be inclined to take 5 really good drummers, you know what I mean? So because that'll work very well. Let's say we got 5 really good bass players with 6 really good drummers, we'd probably try and find a way to take the 6 drummers because they're very good. You know what I mean? So we don't have a hard and fast rule with this. We try and make common sense so that everyone who comes in has fun playing with everybody else, and that we have fun working with them as teachers. Yeah, Jeren, am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yes,
Yeah,
you're right. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead. And we've been in touch by email a lot, but
yeah,
good to meet you in person.
Hello, everyone. Greetings from Turkey. Yes, I have some questions about foreign students. We have been some information on mail before. Yeah. Yes, it's about IELTS. I want to start with IELTS first. I didn't get that IELTS result yet because I'm having IELTS lesson. Also at the same time, I am trying to do lots of things at the same time. It's not easy, but my question is, foreign educational consultancy told me about IELTS thing on your program in your university, but also they told me that foundation program. I want to be clear about that first. Maybe I can ask regularly, or maybe I can go like this.
It's a good question. I think I might get Laura to answer that a little bit because she's more au fait with this. I think some of that depends on what you've done already. I think you've been in university already, right?
Yeah, that would be my second university. I'm just graduated in here. University about which is I have never ever interested in educational system results, and I just tried to about music many things, but it's not went regularly. That's why
I think the issue here, I'm not sure about you needing to do the foundation course, to be honest. I think if you have your 6.5 IELTS, you won't need to do the foundation course at all. Most people do the foundation course in order to get their English to the level when they can come in, or to get into the program, to get into a program, not specifically the jazz program, but any program in the university. And I think with you, since you've been to university already, it would be totally unnecessary to do that foundation program, and would be all that will be required because you've already been to university. So the general entry requirements will be fine. All that will be required is for you to have your English at the level that they require. So Laura, is that?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'd say that the foundation program would be of more benefit to somebody who maybe has studied English in an education system where they really are only used to reading and writing. They haven't had an immersion experience before. That's probably the greatest benefit of the foundation program, is the chance to be immersed in English. But obviously you're able to get your questions across and things like that. So I don't think that would be of necessary for you or of benefit to you, really.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you, because that but I couldn't be sure because of the foreign educational consultancy, but I was sure about 6.5, and also it take, if I got decided to study on drums or maybe jazz vocal department, it will take 3 or 4 years with and also, can I have a chance study two things like vocal and drums, or electric bass or vocal, or something like this?
Well, no, you'd audition on one instrument basically. So you'll decide. You need to decide when you're auditioning for us what your principal instrument is. You would decide that, and that would be the one that you would audition on, and then that's the one we would evaluate you on. Now, if you play a couple of other instruments, as I said earlier, there are opportunities to play for sure, especially if you're playing. I see a bass guitar there behind you. So if you're playing bass, as the second instrument, there's usually opportunities to play. And the same if you're a vocalist, there'll be usually opportunities to play and to get involved in music and that. You won't get lessons on vocal or bass, although you could get extra lessons, but they do cost a bit more. That's the only thing. But you could get extra lessons with any of the teachers. Of course you could. But it will not be taught as part of the program. But you could play your instruments in some ensembles, especially in the extracurricular ensembles.
Yeah. Can I ask something more? I'm sorry.
Sure. No, it's fine.
It's about audition. You know, I live in Turkey, Izmir, and it's very hard to come to Dublin just for getting exam audition. So can I have a chance to as an online examination?
Yes, it's the short answer to that. Yes, we recommend that people come and audition in person if possible, but we also recognize that that's a lot to ask depending on where you are. You know, if you're to come to Dublin for a 15-20 minute audition from Turkey or from Japan or something. So we have methods in place for years for that, for people who are far away and for whom it's very difficult. So yes, we could do that for sure.
Yeah, that will be like the same as a face-to-face. Yes, sure. But what kind of things that you want to?
Well, I'll address that since that's a good question for everybody here. What do we want in the audition? We want you to play two pieces that you think represents you well. That you think, this is what I do, this is what I sound good doing, this is what we recommend that you do as your audition. And then we will talk to you and we will have an interview with you and, tell us about yourself. Tell us about your musical life. Tell us about your life in music. Tell us about why you want to do this program. Tell us, what your ambitions are as a musician. What do you see yourself doing in 20 years' time? What would you like to be doing ideally in 20 years' time with music? And all of those kinds of things. So basically, we also do a little rhythm ear test as well. So what does that mean? It means that we play a rhythm to you and you play it back to us. You might have this is a bit more difficult online, but basically in person we certainly do this. So you'd have maybe some kind of a pulse going like that. We might go. You go and then we do another one, and we just keep doing it in real time. That's the way we do it. It's a bit harder to do online, but in person we certainly do that. So that's what we'll do with the audition, and we thoroughly recommend everybody to play what their strengths are and say, this is what I do, this is what I feel comfortable, and this is what I'm comfortable doing to everything. That answers a question that Mia had there as well. I think how many songs, two contrasting things. I don't mean one has to be classical and the other one heavy metal. I mean just maybe slightly different in tempo or feeling or something like that. For bass players, very good question from Tay, and I'll get Cormac to answer because he plays both of those instruments very well.
Cormac had to run. Yeah, he's gone.
Okay, in that case, he won't answer it. I'll answer it. I don't play upright bass and bass guitar. We've got three teachers, at least three, who do to play. I play bass guitar, but there are three teachers who play both. There are guys who play both. We're a bit careful about it in the sense that if it depends on what you start on. If you start on double bass, if you start on bass guitar and then suddenly decide you're going to play double bass, start playing in all ensembles and double bass, you're likely to get into the danger zone of getting tendonitis because it's physically such a difficult instrument. So it's physically such a different instrument. So you're quite likely to get into issues of that. So transferring from bass guitar to upright bass can be problematic. If you're mainly an upright bass player and you want to play some bass guitar, that's usually fine because that's a different situation. Again, we tend to meet it with it depends on the situation. You would generally get lessons in one instrument rather than two. Again, so if you've got upright bass, if you're principally an upright bass player, it's not that the bass teacher would never talk to you about bass guitar. Of course they would, but it will remain your principal instrument regardless of whether you play both. If you're a bass guitar player and you want to play some upright bass, then you'd have to have a discussion with your teacher because there is physical elements involved in that can can lead to difficulties. We've had it before where guys say, "Oh, I love double bass," but they haven't had any proper training on it. They just abandon the bass guitar and try and figure out how to play things and play for hours every day, and then suddenly they've got tendonitis. So that's very common to do. So it's possible, but it's you really need to talk to the teacher, and it depends on whether your principal instrument is double bass or bass guitar. So I hope that answers your question, Tate. The Access Music program is not still running. What we could recommend to that, if there are people interested in getting it, is to look for level 5 performance programs, of which there are several around Ireland and different parts of Ireland. So level 5 will give you a good foundation for doing your audition with us. You know, if you're coming to us from a full-time, like a level 5 program, which is, you know, it's lower down than level 8, obviously. First of all, it makes us realize that you're committed to music education because you've done a full-time course. That's a major thing. Secondly, you're going to have skills from that course that will, you know, really help you in the audition, and that we're going to recognize that you have those skills. I hope that helps. In person. So there's some audition FAQs there that Matthew has put up on the chat. So you can click on those, and then you can get there's a whole bunch of frequently asked questions.
If you have any questions about the remote process, just, you know, if you want to kind of mentally prepare for it as it's a possibility for this year, could just send me an email. I'll leave my email address in the chat there, and I can send you a list of FAQs that we had for last year, because last year we did them all remotely. So we already have procedures and a guideline sheet for that.
So if you need, I mean, this is my, yes, we put our emails in here, so you can write to me, you can write to Laura. Laura put in her email there, Matthew, and Cormac, I think, has his earlier on in the list. Jason has put in his as well. Thank you, Jason. Any final questions? I think we're probably ready to wrap it up. You know where we are now, so you can contact us at any time. We're happy to answer any questions that you may have. Okay, final chance, last chance, Saloon.
Can I ask something more about Berkeley summer schools? Maybe I'm thinking about that. Maybe I can come for improving, just like it's a good chance. Can I maybe have a chance?
Jason.
Yeah, I mean, now is a great time to be looking at these. If you go to berkeley.edu/summer, Berkeley offers a range of programs that run from a couple of days long to 5 weeks long. And they cover pretty much all the topics that we offer, from performance topics to music technology, music business, vocal training, songwriting, production, video game scoring, film scoring, all of that. So when you go to the site, you can see that we're right now, fingers crossed, we're hoping, you know, Berkeley students actually started this week hybrid. So we actually do have students on campus in Boston and at our campus in Valencia. We're hoping that we're going to be able to continue that this summer as well. That means the 1 week programs all the way up to the 5 week program. We're hoping that may be possible. And also we have summer programs at our campus in Valencia, Spain. So if you want to take a look at the programs there, you can check that out. Unfortunately, you know, we normally have a summer program that we do with Dublin City University. The jury is out right now. We're not sure, you know, with the way the pandemic's going, we're trying to see what might be possible, but we're hoping that we can return and do our summer program that we do at DCU. So that way you can actually get the Berkeley feel and vibe and hang, but also be at the DCU campus and be able to work with the professors there. So yeah, check them all out, see what might be attractive to you. I think for anybody that's looking to make a serious jump into this kind of learning, getting the chance to do a program on site or any kind of even remote online clinics or master classes that DCU is offering or Berkeley's offering, you know, it's just a great way to learn more about what you'd be getting into. All right.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, Sharon.
I just see a question there about how long it takes to get results of the audition. The admissions, it's kind of a two-step process. So it's possible for you to pass the audition, but still not be accepted into the university. So just to keep that in mind, generally within 2 to 4 weeks of the interview. So if we do a remote auditions, you will be asked to submit your videos by a certain date, and then we'll do the interviews on another date. Normally following the auditions, it's about 2 to 4 weeks for whether or not you have passed the audition, because for EU applicants, everything is done through CAO. It's kind of a conditional offer in that you still have to go through the CAO process and meet the academic requirements. So the actual offer will still come through normally in August from the CAO, which is the actual official offer, which means that you've passed both the audition and the academic requirements.
So just for any Irish students who have questions about the dreaded points system for the CAO, the way it works with us, I think this year is 419 points. And basically we require, that's the minimum requirements. This is for Irish students only, by the way, it's not for international students. So we require 419 points. 200 of those points come from the audition and interview, and the rest can come from your high school, your Leaving Cert diploma. So that's how those 400. It's not requiring 419 from the Leaving Cert and an audition. It's requiring a combination of 419 between the audition and the Leaving Cert. So that's how that works.
Just getting the 219 points in the Leaving Cert as well, you know, you also still have to meet the minimum university requirements of what you get in maths and English or Irish, and whether you've done higher level or ordinary level papers. So that's all on the DCU, on the main admissions page as well. So there's the points that are based on the Leaving Cert, but it's not just about the points. You know, if you get 219 points but you fail both maths and English, then that's not going to work either. So
it's probably an unlikely scenario. It's not a huge high points total, but yeah, I mean, so basically, to understand, just to make it very simple, we look at your musicality and your musicianship, and we tell the university that we have accepted you, you know, on the basis of we have accepted your musical, and then the university looks at your academic stuff to make sure that you have that. It would be the same in any school, same in Berkeley. You have to have a certain, you know, high school diploma, etc., etc. So really, these things are very similar, but that's why it's a two-step process. We will tell you very quickly how you got on in your audition, and after that, then it takes a little while longer for the university to send the answer.
I just put up a few links in the chat box. We're on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube, and they're all regularly updated with content, both from faculty and alumni. For example, on the YouTube page, there are playlists of music that's been released by both faculty and alumni. So basically everything that Ronan was just talking about, all the different kinds of music and musicians, people who have come through the course and are now doing that, all of that great stuff. There's lists up there, so you can check all of that out.
Yeah, there's also a page for the Center for Jazz Performance Studies, and I'll just show it to you very quickly, so you can find that. And on that, there's about the program, there's the jazz teaching staff, there's the news and events, and get in touch. So dcu.ie/jazz, maybe someone stick that in the chat. Mm-hmm. So you can get a lot of information, including access to videos and all kinds of stuff in there.
You will be, just to answer Senan's question there, the question is, if you were registered for the audition, once you've registered for the course through CAO, you will be invited to take part in the audition. So you'll get an email from registry in DCU saying that you have applied for DC014 and the auditions will be taking place on such and such a date, and give you instructions. Normally you'll have to follow up with me then to get the the deadlines, etc. But you should receive something from DCU registry normally in the beginning of March.
Okay, so unless there's any other questions, really want to thank you all for coming. I want to thank Jason for coming, getting up early in the morning, in Boston. And you know where we are. We're very, very happy to, we'll answer questions immediately when you send them. And we're don't be afraid about, saying, oh, I don't want to bug them with this, or that's a stupid question. Everyone always thinks their question is a stupid question, but it's often the same question as everyone else has. So don't be shy. Contact us. You have all our contacts, including Jason's there, and myself, and Matthew, and Laura, and Cormac. And please do contact us, and we'd be happy to hear you play. We'd be happy to, to listen to your music. That's what we're here for. That's what we're in the end for. With all of this stuff that we do, and we have to talk about, and this and that. In the end, we're all musicians, and the best thing of all is when we're all listening to each other and playing music with each other. So that's really, really what we look forward to seeing you audition, because we'd like to hear you play for sure. We love to learn. We love to meet new musicians all the time. Any serious musician is always interested in other musicians. Always. So thanks very much to everybody. And yeah, stay safe. That's the big thing. Imagine if I said that like 18 months ago, and stay safe, and everyone go, why, what's going on? It would have seemed a bizarre thing to say, but it's just become part of our life now. It's like, stay safe, but it's a very realistic part. So please do stay safe, and we'll probably see you soon, hopefully, and talk to you soon in person. That would be great. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thanks, Jason.
Everybody, take care.
Thank you.
Bye. See you guys. Take care.
See you. Bye-bye.